It is that time, people. 11 a.m. Welcome on in. Welcome on in. Big day for us today. Big day. We gotta learn about terms of trade, which is pretty hard. Shouldn't take a long time, and I'm gonna try my best. I got 3 different ways to teach it to you. Only one has to click, and then you're good. But yeah, that's our biggest thing we gotta do today, right? I almost combined today and yesterday together yesterday, right? So today should be kind of light a little bit, okay? That other announcements. Oh, hold on, we get. What's gonna be our attendance today? I haven't given a lot of thought. To be honest with you guys. Let's do this. Your attendance today, you have to ask me a question. Okay? And it cannot be school. It can't be inappropriate for school. All right, obviously. Right? Don't do anything stupid in the chat there. Okay? You have to ask me a question. I'll try to answer as many questions as before. We got to get going here. So don't do any questions that are like way too deep. Right? Like, Mr. Moore, what's the meaning of life? I'm like, don't do that. Okay? Give me some questions in there. That's your attendance today. And if I don't answer all the questions when we're hanging out on Google Meet and I'm bored watching you guys work on your problem sets in sheer silence, I will read the chat and answer the remaining questions then. Okay? Very good. There we go. Get some good questions going. While you guys are getting your questions in the chat, other announcements is problem set 1.2. I looked through problem set 1.2. A lot of us are doing really well. A lot of us are struggling a lot. Regardless, right, whether you're doing really good or not doing good, how would you know, right? You have to check the answer key. So I posted the 1.2 answer key this morning. Make sure you go and check that, even if you're feeling really good about it. Please, and I'll return it to you. So now you own that problem set now. So just change it, and you don't have to resubmit. You do not have to resubmit on there, right? Like if you had questions wrong, I didn't mark it wrong on your problem set. It takes me too long. I'm like just flying through and making sure like no one's putting some cheese answers there and stuff like that. And basically giving you credit if you looks like you worked hard and you got some of them right. Some of you guys left blank answers there, right? And I know you left them because you didn't understand it, right? Because you would answer ones that followed it. Please try your best, right? It's like taking a test, right? Put something there and why you think it, right? And it helps me because I'm like, okay, well, some students thought this was the answer and this was their like reasoning behind it, right? Like I can kind of help you. If you leave it blank, both parties are not beneficial, right? Like I don't know what's going on in your mind, right? So try your hardest. And for some of you, oh no, I'm dropping some frames. Oh, I hope I don't lag out here, internet, please. Yeah, and some of you guys, I can't tell. Are you leaving it blank because you don't know, or are you leaving it blank because like you don't want to do it, right? So please make sure your problem sets are 100% completed. I'm going to get a little more strict on that, right? I want to make sure. I want there to be an answer for every sort of fill in the blank, okay? Like I said, the live stream won't go too long today. We don't have a whole lot to do. Okay? All right. Let's get to some of these questions. I don't really want to teach econ yet. Do you want another dog? It's been tough. Do I want another dog? I've really been thinking about it a lot. I put a lot of energy into my companion. I don't know. I think Hans is more of an only child, but there's days where I think he needs a friend at all times, so it's tough. Wait, hold on. If we're gonna do questions, come on. What is your favorite food? My favorite food is sushi, most definitely. What is your favorite color? My favorite color is probably like turquoise. My favorite color to wear is like navy. Where's your favorite place to get coffee from? It's Big B, most definitely. And hey, who's the one who works in Big B in here? One of you guys works in Big B, I always forget. Where's your favorite place to... Oh wait, we did that. What is your favorite snack food? My favorite snack food would be chips and salsa, the salsa that I produce. It's the best. Are you hyped that Big Ten is back? Dylan, what? Big Ten football's back. I have not seen that. I've been working too hard on my econ, right? But I'm going to check that out here in a second. Favorite Kanye song? Like an old one. Maybe like Stronger or something like that. I'm not a big fan of Kanye anymore for many reasons. How tall are you? 6'1", I want to say. 6'1", but maybe 6'2", you know? I'm working hard in the weight room. What did you do for fun this summer? Golf with friends. Occasionally I have golf once a week with Mr. Carney, Mr. Wangler, Mr. Andreesen. That's what we would sort of do. Socially distanced, of course, right? And that'd be kind of our one thing. What's your favorite food? Sushi, most definitely. I love sushi. Where do you want to travel? I want to travel someplace, like some island in the Pacific, like Fiji or something like that. Is where I'd want to go. Do you know any other languages? I took 4 years of French in high school. I'm pretty good at reading it. I don't know if I can speak it that well. Parlez-vous français? Comment allez-vous? Comme ci, comme ça. Right? I don't know. Hold on. Is this music getting like really annoying? I hope you guys know that like this isn't the music I listen to. This is no copyright music, so like I can't like get in trouble. So like that's the best music I can kind of find. How old is your dog? He's almost 2. His birthday's on October 9th. What is your favorite economic concept? That's Aiden, my man. That's a great question. My favorite economic concept. Man, that's a really good question. Hey, I said nothing deep. That's a deep question. Probably in microeconomics. In microeconomics, it's called maximizing utility. It's this idea of maximizing utility. We sort of did that a little bit. I've talked about it, like going between 2 different trips. But it's the idea of like you have so much money, and how can you maximize and use all your money by maximizing the most bang for your buck? It's called maximizing utility. And if you take AP Micro, you'll learn about it. We're actually going to learn about a micro on Friday. So if you're bored, go to the YouTube channel and watch the lecture on it. But that's probably my favorite concept. I'm probably forgetting about other things. Like externalities is really cool. A lot of micro concepts are pretty intriguing. Oligopolies are pretty intriguing. But I'll move on. What is your who is your favorite Curtis kid? You think I can answer that question? Bailey. Bailey was a guru. No, I like all the Curtises. I like all the Curtises. Favorite food, sushi. Why'd you become a teacher? Well, this is not what I expected teaching to be. So, but I became a teacher for many reasons. One, like I was never good at like talking in front of people, so I feel like if I became a teacher, I would like have to become like good at it, right? Like I'd force myself to, which is pretty cool. Because I'm a big introvert, right? So teaching is good for me because it forces me to act like an extrovert at times, which is pretty cool. But I became a teacher for a lot of reasons, so I'm gonna move on from that. What's your dog's name? It's Hans. It's Hans. And if you guys don't know Hans's Instagram page, you guys got to follow it. It's called Hans the Mons. He's an Instagram dog model, I guess, right? He's just famous. We're almost there. What is your favorite thing to do in your free time? I don't know. It sounds really boring, but like just hang out with my dog and my wife. I don't know. I mean, I do play video games occasionally. So like maybe that with friends. Like Mr. Wangler and Mr. Andreesen and stuff like that online, but that's probably that. Do you watch anime? I do not. Favorite song ever? Oh gosh, I don't know. That's hard. I'll have to come back to that one, Michael. Favorite sport? It's tough. Like I've coached. Oh, my screen looks weird. I've coached football for I want to say 6-7 years, like a lot, and I think my football knowledge is pretty insane. It's almost like so insane that like when I was coaching football really heavy, I started like not liking football because like whenever I watched a football game like casually on a Saturday, my mind would be like crazy, like analyzing all these different things. But I've had like a 2-year absence from football, so I'm starting to enjoy it a little more. So I'd probably say football, but I enjoy a lot of other sports. I really enjoy soccer. I love soccer, and that's a new sport that I've really fallen in love with. I like golf a lot, like professional golf, like majors, right? Like the U.S. Open is this week. It's gonna be really cool. It starts tomorrow. I like tons of different sports. Baseball, I really appreciate. Hockey, I really appreciate. The NBA playoffs have been amazing. Like in the bubble here, it's been crazy. I'm a state fan. I went to Michigan State. I'm a state fan. I grew up a Michigan fan, but I'm a state fan, Jack. Favorite movie? Wow, that's a tough one. Favorite movie? Ooh, that's another one I'm going to have to think about. Favorite movie and favorite song. What's your favorite TV show? That's another one I'm going to have to really think about. Probably like Breaking Bad. I know it's pretty, like, everyone says that, but that one's just really, really good. I watched it during my student teaching year, and I was like, I watched all of it like really quick. Yeah. Forgot what that was. Does Mr. Moore listen to Shiloh Dynasty? I don't know what that is either. I do not know what that is either. All right, pretty good. Good questions. I hope you guys all put a question in there. If you haven't done so, and you think of one later, put it in, and I'll answer it later. Oh no, I'm blurry again. Refocus. Very blurry. It'll come back. It'll come back over time. All right. So let's jump into it. Right. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into terms of trade here. Okay. Like I said, there's not a lot of slides we got to do today. There's probably like a combined 4 or 5 slides. But you got to be paying attention. You got to be paying attention. And I really changed up these PowerPoints because generally when I teach about terms of trade, I'm writing on the board, like my crazy smart board I have. You guys ever see my smart board? I got some crazy LEDs, and I was really looking forward to this year. My smart board's sweet. I love using it. But yeah, that's generally how I teach terms of trade. Is I'm writing on all over it. So like I tried to like change it so like you have good illustrations today. Because like I said, terms of trade is sort of complex. There's 3 ways to learn about it. There's option 1, which I'm going to talk about first, is using logic, right? Like understanding like why a country would trade. And sometimes I would say probably like 15% of students understand that. And then the second way is kind of a long way, but if you do it a few times, it becomes very, very quick. And it's just a way to mathematically like kind of work through it. But it's like easy math, right? It's not like any complex math. And then the method number 3 of how to solve terms of trade is like it's dirty. It's like academically dirty. Like you don't really understand it, but like you can like solve them all. Like there's cheats, and I'll show you like the cheats of how to figure out terms of trade, right? So like I don't care which way you use. I don't want to spend a lot of time on comparative advantage. I want to move on to supply and demand tomorrow, and I ultimately want to move into macro and start talking about GDP and how do we measure economic health and then how do we fix economies. I want like macroeconomics, right? That's what you guys came to this class for. So I don't like to spend a lot of time on it, right? So you just got to find which method works for you. Logic, math, or like dirty, academically dirty, right? I don't care. It does not matter. Just don't get this question wrong, okay? So today, you guys are going to get 2 FRQs, which might be kind of challenging, but there's not a lot of like work you got to do, right? You just got to like take your time and like answer like 9 combined questions, okay? And they're real AP exam FRQs, so some of it might be easy and some of it might be kind of challenging. And remember, I told you guys, your first summative assessment will probably drop on Friday. I think I'm going to hold off. I said Thursday, but I'm going to drop it on Friday. That way, like if you really want to spend a lot of time on it, you have the entire weekend to do so. And like I said, I'm going to give you 2 FRQs. One will be a comparative advantage FRQ. So the 2 FRQs today will look pretty similar. Okay, so make sure you ask questions if you don't understand it. And remember, this FRQ today will be due tomorrow night. So I will give you the answer to that on Friday before I give you your summative assessment. And then the other FRQ will be a lot like the FRQ that you saw on problem set 1.1. What I'll probably do is change numbers, change the hours a little bit, change questions slightly a little bit, but it's going to kind of look a lot like that problem set 1.1, where you have to use, you have to identify opportunity costs, use marginal analysis, etc. Right? That way I can sort of assess you on everything that we've learned up to this point so far. And then you guys will have one more assessment next week. It'll probably be supply and demand. Will be one of them, and then the other one will probably be macro measures will be the other, okay? All right, anyway, move on. Okay, terms of trade. What is terms of trade? Well, actually, hold on here. We got to like, so this is kind of where we ended yesterday, right? I was like, this is like how you attack a comparative advantage question. First, you identify as an output or input. I hope you know how to do that. Identify who has absolute advantage, right? Just who's better at it. Who can produce the most with the same amount or less, or who can produce the same amount using less. That's the absolute advantage. Comparative advantage is who can produce at a lower cost, lower opportunity cost, who gives up the least amount of the other good when they produce a good. And then number 4, okay, so whoever has comparative advantage, who should make what, right? Economists say you should specialize, only make what you have comparative advantage in, and the other person or country should specialize and produce whatever they have comparative advantage in. And then number 5 is what we're going to do today. Is, okay, Mr. Smarty Pants, Miss Smarty Pants, you know that they should make that, and you know they should make that. Okay, well, what's the trade, right? If they're supposed to specialize in trade, what is the trade? How many cars for a plane? What terms of trade are we going to negotiate where it's going to be beneficial for both countries? Or if the terms of trade is given, right, does it, like, should this country do it? Or like, are they better off just like not trading and producing by themselves is the idea. That's what we're going to learn about today, terms of trade. So it says both countries can benefit from trade if they each have relatively lower opportunity costs, right? They have comparative advantage in opposite goods. Remember, you can't have comparative advantage in both goods. It'll never happen. Terms of trade, the agreed upon conditions that would benefit both countries, okay? It doesn't always have to benefit both countries. Like, it could be like this is the terms of trade, this is the deal. Does it help this country, does it not help this country is the idea. But we know that there could be a terms of trade that is mutually beneficial for both. In other words, it essentially would shift the PPC for both countries. They both would be better off. They're both going to be helped by specializing and trading. Right? So, example, 1 ton of wheat for 1.5 tons of sugar was like the Brazil-U.S. one yesterday. And if they did that, both countries would be better off. Okay? So, oh my God, it's a ghost! Oh my gosh! Right? Some people call terms of trade the ghost. You know why? Because they never see the concept. It's so hard. I'm just kidding. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. All right. Anyway, so moving on here. I think, no, we have not worked through this problem real quick. So I'm going to like kind of review a little bit for a second, and then we're ultimately going to solve terms of trade for this example. Okay? All right. So questions you would see on an FRQ, right? Let's get into it. Number 1, who has an absolute advantage, right? And I know I keep giving you guys comparative advantage questions on your problem set, and like here where they're like it doesn't say like what's going on, right? Just assume it's output, right? This would be like number of pineapples and radios that could be produced given the same amount of acres, or given the same amount of time, or just resources in general. Okay, is the idea. So that is right. That is a scary ghost. Very scary. All right, so who has absolute advantage in radios? That's what I would like to do first. Generally, the first part of an FRQ is who has absolute advantage, who's better at producing it. In this case, India has absolute advantage in both the production of pineapples and radios, right? They can make 40 pineapples, given the same amount of resources, when Kenya only makes 30. They make 40 radios, and Kenya can only make 10, right? But we're about to prove that no matter, even though India is better than Kenya on everything, right? Pineapples and radio production, India should still specialize in one, Kenya should still specialize in another, and they both trade, and if the terms of trade are good, both are going to benefit. That's the idea. But absolute advantage, easy, that's India. For radios, and it'd be the same for pineapples. Next, what I like to do, before I go to the rest of the questions in the FRQ, I like to put those per unit opportunity cost inside my table. And sometimes they're going to give you a table where it's not big enough, just redraw the table and make a room for it, okay? How did I get this per unit opportunity cost? Remember, I'm in the pineapple column, okay? So I'm trying to figure out every time Kenya makes a pineapple, right, 1 pineapple, so I'd always write 1p equals, and then I got to figure out what number to place in there. Every time Kenya makes 1 pineapple, they give up, so remember, this is an output question, so I wrote ooh, output equals other goes over. So they give up, so it would be 10 over 30. 10 divided by 30 is 1/3 of a radio. And again, look at, they're 3 times as good at making pineapples than they are radios. So if they were to make a pineapple, they'd only give up the opportunity of making 1/3 of a radio. Because again, they're 3 times better at making pineapples than radios, right? Then you can just flip it for the other side, or you can do other goes over the one I'm trying to find, right? The box I'm trying to find, so it'd be 30 over 10 equals 3. Every time Kenya makes 1 radio, they're going to give the opportunity of making 3 pineapples. Because again, they're 3 times as good at making pineapples than they are radios. And then for India, it'd be easy, right? It's 40 over 40 and 40 over 40. You can't mess that one up. 1 pineapple, they give up 1 radio. For 1 radio, they give up 1 pineapple. Pretty simple. So fill in some opportunity. Oh yeah, and then last but not least, before you get to the questions, identify who has comparative advantage. Who has comparative advantage? It's whoever can produce at the lower opportunity cost. I'm saying that slow because you have to provide that in your FRQ explanation. Do not miss points on the summative assessment this weekend by by writing India has comparative advantage in radios because like they're I don't know what else you would write, but some students don't write it. It's because they have lower opportunity costs. If you just put those words in there, you're going to get 100%. That's all I'm looking for. That's all the AP graders are looking for. India has comparative advantage because they comparatively give up the least amount. When they make a radio, they only give up 1 pineapple, whereas Kenya gives up 3 pineapples. Again, I like to provide my numbers, but you don't have to. You can just put lower opportunity costs, and that will suffice. Okay? Kenya has comparative advantage in pineapples because they only give up 1/3 of a radio, whereas India gives up a full radio. And again, if you have 2 circles for Kenya or 2 circles for India, you did something wrong. Recheck your math and do it again. Okay? All right, let's fill in stuff, right? Because we just did all that, right? Besides 6, who should import pineapples? Well, India is making radios, Kenya is making pineapples, so India is going to have to receive the pineapples, so they're going to have to import pineapples. India is going to export radios, import pineapples. Kenya is going to export pineapples and import radios from India. Those questions are usually pretty easy, but make sure you're tracking on that. Okay, number 7. Right, number 7 is what we don't know how to do yet. It says trading 1 radio for how many pineapples would benefit both countries, right? So now you got to do a little bit of math, and now you got to figure out what should the deal be, right? Like imagine if 2 countries were set up a meeting and they were like negotiating back and forth, and what ultimately would they come up with as a trade deal that would be beneficial for both, right? Now again, countries don't trade goods and services with one another. People buy goods and services from another country. That's more the idea of trade, right? But this is just like we're using a concept, right? A very simplified concept, just showing that like 2 parties can be better off if they trade, they specialize and they trade what they have comparative advantage in. Okay. The answer is this. The answer is 1 radio for 2 pineapples, and I'm going to show you guys how to do it here on the next slide. 1 radio for 2 pineapples. If the terms of trade, and some of you guys maybe have already like just done that in your head, right? I hope you guys watched that video that I put on Google Classroom. Again, it's really good. They talk about terms of trade on there. They show you with like really good illustrations like why the terms of trade would exist. And this is the first method. The first method here is logic, right? So if I'm trading, I want to trade because the deal, I can get that good at a cheaper price, if you will, than trading with myself. Okay? So think about it like this. Kenya is making pineapples and they want radios, right? Because if they're going to trade, they're going to specialize and only make one good, and they're going to have to trade for the other good that they need. So Kenya is going to make pineapples and they want radios. Well, if they didn't trade and they wanted to make a radio, what is the cost of making a radio? If they were like, okay, we're not trading, we're going to make a radio. Every time they make a radio, in a sense, they're trading with themselves, right? They're trading their time with themselves and their resources, right? So every time they make a radio, the cost of producing a radio is 3 pineapples. That's the idea. So if Kenya is making pineapples and they want radios, they want to have a terms of trade that's cheaper. They want to give a pineapple, or sorry, they want to get less than 3 pineapples for a radio. In other words, they want to give less than 3 pineapples for a radio, because in producing 1 radio, they got to give up 3 pineapples. Or making 1 pineapple, they give up the opportunity of making 1/3 of a radio. So anything less than 1 radio, 1 radio for less than 3 pineapples is a good deal, because they're trading at a lower cost option than trading themselves. They'd be essentially getting a radio for less than it is the produce themselves, right? So like less than 3. If the terms of trade for 1 radio is greater than 3, Kenya's worse off, and they should just make radios on their own. If the terms of trade, alternatively, is less than 3 pineapples, they should do the trade, because they're trading pineapples at a lower cost than they would by trading with themselves. I hope that kind of makes sense, but if it doesn't, I have 2 other methods for you in a second. Okay, India, alternatively, wants pineapples, and they're making radios. So if they decided to not trade, they decided to make pineapples, in a sense, every time they make a pineapple, they have to give up 1 radio, right? So if they're giving out radios in the hopes to get pineapples, they would make a trade for 1 pineapple less than 1 radio, right? And let's sort of simplify that. So 1 pineapple equals maybe a half a radio. That'd be the same terms of trade here. 1 pineapple equals a half a radio, and that'd be a good trade, because they're essentially getting that pineapple at a cheaper price than they would if they produce it themselves. They can get a pineapple for a half a radio instead of a pineapple for a full radio, right? Again, the terms of trade is good. They're going to be better off. They should do the trade. If the terms of trade is one radio is less than one pineapple, they're worse off. They shouldn't trade. If the terms of trade is one radio for more than one pineapple, they should do the deal. Okay? So I know that's kind of hard for a lot of you guys to wrap your head around, right? You kind of got to think about it logically. You got to think about what would you do if you're Kenya, you're making pineapples, and you want radios, and what's the cost of trading with yourself, and what's the cost of trading your pineapples for radios. And again, countries would want the lower cost option, or we would want the lower cost option. I forgot who the names were in that movie. It's like Bob and, I don't know, like Sue, right? And they're trading fish and bananas, I think. Same sort of idea, right? So that's method number one, logic. Some of you guys got it. If you got it, cool. I still want you paying attention to the other ones. My favorite's method number two. Now, some students will be like, method number two looks like it takes forever. People, I can do method number two in 10 seconds. I guarantee you I can do it in 10 seconds. And I've seen in the classroom, students, after they do it maybe twice, like you'll do it twice on your problem set today, the third time around is very, very quick. And I really like the second method of, of solving comparative advantage, because you can see it, right? Like, I'm not going to have any mental mistakes. I'm not going to get lost in like my logic thought, right? And like make some sort of error. I see it on my paper and it makes sense, and I know for sure without a doubt that Kenya's better off by doing the deal, or India's better off from doing the deal. I can see it using numbers. I'm proving, and that's another way I like this method. I'll prove why both countries would be better off under these conditions. Okay? All right. So make sure you're following. I'm going to try to go slow, especially on this one. All right, Kenya. So let's look at it like this, right? Again, the terms of trade is, I believe, one radio for two pineapples. One radio for two pineapples. But in doing this method, you can solve the question even if the terms of trade is not given to you, and you got to provide a number. What number would be good to benefit both? And you sort of like plug and play, if that makes sense. All right, so let's look at it just for one, right? Let's see if it benefits Kenya. One radio for two pineapples. Let's prove it. So there's two different choices to be made, right? Economics is the study of choices. The choices are no trade and produce both goods themselves, right? Or trade, produce one good and trade for the other, right? We're either going to not trade and produce both radios and pineapples, or we're going to trade, and in this case, Kenya would make pineapples because that's what they have comparative advantage in, and they're going to trade for the radios that they need. Those are the two choices we're going to explore, right? And we're going to explain why Kenya would do the deal in this case, all right? So what I like to do is I like to draw a little PPC on my paper. I like to draw a production possibility curve on my paper. And the simplified one, right? The one like you probably drew on your paper for 1.2. Don't put all these crazy numbers in here, right? Just put, if they specialize and make radios, they can make up to 10 radios. And as they produce more and more pineapples, they can make up to 30 pineapples. But if they made 30 pineapples, they would have no resources left over to make any radios, right? So quick PPC. Label it and just throw your 30 here and then 10 here, right? They're specialization points. That's where these numbers come from, is the ends of the PPC. Okay? Very, very quickly, you can easily do that. Then, what I want to do is this, right? We're looking at the choice of not trading, right? Kenya's like, what's going to be the result if we don't trade? How much stuff are we going to have if we don't trade, all right? Well, if they don't trade, they can't just make pineapples. They have to make both, right? Their country wants radios and pineapples. So it's an easy way to know a production combination of both pineapples and radios that will for sure be an efficient point, will for sure be somewhere on the curve. Easy, right? Just use halves. If Kenya spends half the resources in the production of pineapples, how many pineapples can they make? If they spend half the time and resources making pineapples, they'd make 15 pineapples. And if they spend half the time to make radios, they'd make 5 radios. How did I get that? Well, again, like it would be somewhere in the middle of their PPC. If they allocate half their time to make pineapples, they would make 15. If they allocated half their time to make radios, they'd make 5 radios. Okay? Do that, right? So reflection here, review, right? I don't want to go too fast. I don't want to lose any of you guys, right? Because we're not like in a classroom setting. We're giving much more. Can you go over that again? Like I'm just going to go over it again no matter what. PPC. Put the numbers in there, 10 and 30, right? And then go to the middle part of the PPC and then cut the numbers in half. because that would be their production combination if they have to produce both goods. It'd be a really socially optimal point. Half their time making radios and half their time making pineapples. So I'm going to put that up here, right? Generally on a comparative advantage FRQ, right? Like where like pencils were a thing, right? Students on their paper would write like NT, like no trade, or BT before trade, and write 15P, 5R, right? How much goods would they have in their society, right? If they did not trade, half and half. Got it? Okay. Choice number 2 is, okay, what if they do trade? Okay, if they do trade and they do this terms of trade, how much stuff are they going to have? Okay, well, I like to think about it like this. If they do trade, what are they going to make? Economists say countries and people and businesses should only trade if they specialize. And they should specialize what they have comparative advantage in. So, if they do trade, Kenya is going to make 30 pineapples. Because we already identified that. Kenya has comparative advantage in the production of pineapples, so they're going to make pineapples. They're not going to spend any time making radios because they know that if the terms of trade are good, right, they're going to get their radios from India here in this case. So to be clear, right, if they do trade, right, so this is option number 2, like you can just write trade on your paper, or like with trade, WT, specialization trade. If they do trade, what are they going to produce? They're going to produce 30 pineapples. They're going to produce right here on their PPC. They're going to allocate all their time and make pineapples, right? Because that's the idea. That's the concept that we've explored over the last 2 days and why. But now we're going to prove why it works. Okay, so Kenya's going to make all 30 pineapples. Is Kenya going to trade all 30 pineapples? This is where I lose some students, right? Some students will be like, all right, so 30 pineapples, the term of trade is one radio for 2 pineapples. How much radios are going to get? No. Kenya's not going to trade all their pineapples away. Their country, their people wants pineapples, right? So an easy way to identify how many pineapples should they trade and how many should they keep, cut everything in half. Cut everything in half. And the reason I like doing that, so they're gonna keep 15 pineapples and trade the other 15 pineapples. That way, based on how many radios I receive back, I know if it's a good deal or bad deal, right? I'm gonna make 30 pineapples. I'm gonna keep half of them, so I can isolate this right here. Now the question becomes this: when I trade those 15 pineapples, how many radios am I going to receive for that? Well, we identified the terms of trade would be given to you, right? Or you'd plug and play. The terms of trade was 1 radio for 2 pineapples. So Kenya's going to trade 15 pineapples, and every 2 pineapples they give, they're going to receive 1 radio, right? So 15 over 2 would be how many radios they would receive. They're going to get 7.5 radios back for that. So if they do trade under these conditions, 1 radio for 2 pineapples, you can see clear as day that Kenya should do the deal. Kenya is going to be benefited by doing the terms of trade because they're going to have more stuff than they would if they did not trade. Okay? I know it looks like a lot of work, but is it? Right? Is it? All you have to do is draw a PPC, cut it in half. Some of you guys don't even have to draw the PPC. Cut these numbers in half. That's what they're gonna produce if they don't trade. I'm just kind of using that to like help you guys out. And then, okay, if they do trade, what do they have comparative advantage in? Make all of that, keep half of it, trade the other half. How much you get back? Compare, contrast, right? Are we better off or worse off? We're better off. Okay, sweet. If you did 1 radio for 4 pineapples, you would see that they would definitely be worse off, right? So. If the terms of trade are not given to you, that's what I would do. I would do like 1 radio for 3 pineapples, check it. 1 radio for 4 pineapples, check it, and etc. But I'm going to have some other cheats here in a second too. You can use those cheats with this method as well, okay? Let's do it one more time, just in case. Let's do it one more time, just in case. Like some of you guys are like, I don't understand how you did that particular step. I'm going to do it all over again. And also, I'm going to prove why the terms of trade that 1 radio for 2 pineapples also is good for India. It also is beneficial for India as well, okay? So again, let's see how much quicker we can do it though. India, if they don't trade, what are they going to have? They're going to have 20 pineapples and 20 radios. How did I discover that? I just cut the numbers in half. Because they can't allocate all their time to make radios and also have enough resource left over to make pineapples, right? I'm going to find some point in the middle of their PPC. So I'm just going to look at these numbers up here, 20 and 20. That's going to be their production combination if they do not trade. Should be pretty simple, okay? Next step is, okay, how much stuff are they going to get if they do trade? and they specialize in trade, right? So if they do trade, what's India going to produce? This is where I lose some students, right? What are they going to produce? They're not making pineapples. No. That's why we circle our table, right? We circle whoever has comparative advantage, right? They're going to make radios, and they're going to allocate all the resources in the production of radios because they have comparative advantage in radios relative to Kenya, okay? So they're going to make 40 radios. Now, are they going to trade all 40 radios? No, because they're not going to have any radios as a country, right? So they're going to make 40 radios. They're going to keep 20 radios. They're going to trade the other 20 radios, right? And again, why am I going to keep 20 radios? That way I can just look here, right? Why, if I kept 30 radios and then traded, then I'd be like which one's better off? I just want to look at one number only and see is it greater or less than this, then I know if they're better off. So they're going to make 40 radios, they're going to keep 20, they're going to trade the other 20, and if the terms of trade is one radio for 2 pineapples, right? One radio for 2 pineapples, and they trade 20 radios, they're going to get 40 pineapples back for that, right? So like, India is kind of ripping off Kenya in this deal a little bit, right? India would be here, right? That'd be their new production level, and I forgot to show you where Kenya would be. Kenya would be here, right? Do you guys remember why I was like, shifters of the production possibility curve is education, resources, technology, and trade. In a sense, by specializing in trading, we are now going to produce and consume at a point outside of our PPC. That's the idea. And India's really doing that here. India's like really consuming outside their PPC. What once was impossible now is doable via trade. Okay? So that's how you do it. Now, some of you guys are like, Mr. Moore, how does that work? Because, Kenya only has 30 pineapples. Like, how are they going to get 40 pineapples from Kenya, right? Like, the numbers in this case, like, kind of don't work out, right? We need better numbers for that. But, like, the idea is, like, with those terms of trade, both countries would be better off if they had, like, enough stuff to give, in a sense, okay? I know some guys are like, Mr. Moore, how are they going to get 40 pineapples? Kenya only makes 30. I know, but ceteris paribus, keep it simplified, keep it simple. So that's that. That's method number 2, and I hope you guys do that. And I hope you guys practice that today and then employ that down the road, because I don't think it's that complicated. It looks like a lot of writing, but it doesn't have to be that much writing. You can just write like no trade 2020, 20P, 20R, trade, write like 40 somewhere, keep 20 of it, trade 20 of it, how much you're going to get back, right, is the general idea. Okay? So both countries are going to be better off. Okay, method number 3 is this. Method number 3 is this, and this is the academically dirty method. Okay, it's like it works. You're never gonna get a question wrong ever. You'll never get a question wrong. Okay, I want you to know how to do it the other way, right? But like, I know resources are scarce, right? Time on the AP test, and you don't have a whole lot of time to work through every question. And this is a Unit 1 question, right? We want to allocate more time to loanable funds and like ADS model and monetary policy and fiscal policy, right? If you guys can employ dirty academic methods to solve questions for Unit 1, man, cool, right? I'm okay with it. That's fine. As long as you understand the concept, that's fine, okay? So here's method number 3. When I get a terms of trade, or I need to identify a terms of trade that's mutually beneficial for both, what I like to do is I like to look inside the split, is the way to look at it, okay? So if it said identify terms of trade that would be beneficial for both, I would write one radio for 2 pineapples, or one radio for 2.5 pineapples, or one radio for 1.5 pineapples. How did I discover that? Well, the terms of trade has to be between these two numbers here. If it's one radio less than 3 pineapples and one radio greater than 1 pineapple, somewhere between there, mathematically every single time the terms of trade is going to be mutually beneficial. Or, and I like to use ones that like have whole numbers, right? Like if they give me terms of trade that's whole numbers, I like to like look at it the side that it's on. But you could do it on the other side, right? I know that 1 pineapple for a half a radio would be beneficial for both, because 1/2 is between 1 and 1/3. I know that 1 pineapple for 2/3 of a radio would be beneficial for both, because it's between 1/3 and one radio, right? That's it. If you do that, beneficial for both, and you move on. What is nice, and why I'm even teaching this method, even though it's like insanely quick, right? And like you should never get it wrong. Why I like teaching this method is, out of every question ever asked in terms of trade on the AP test, they will never, ever, ever, based on past history, ask you to explain the terms of trade. It's yes or no. Is it beneficial or both? Or provide the terms of trade with no explanation. You do not have to explain it. You just have to identify it. Okay? So, yeah, I want you to save time. I really do. If it says the terms of trade is 1 radio for 2 pineapples, does it benefit India? Does it benefit Kenya? Does it benefit both? Yes, yes, yes. Move on. Onto it, right? We're moving on. The numbers are between the split. It's good. Okay? That's it. So any combination of 1 radio between 1.01 and 2.99 pineapples would benefit both countries. Same with 1 pineapple between 0.34 and 0.99 radios would benefit both countries. Okay? That's easy. So some of you guys are like, okay, what about Mr. Moore if they give you this, right? They say 1 radio for 4 pineapples is the terms of trade. Does it benefit both countries, or does it benefit India, or does it benefit Kenya? Okay? What happens if they give you a terms of trade that's outside the split? How can you do that in an academically unsound way, like quickly, right? Like a dirty way? The easiest way is this I did not discover. A former student I had like a long time ago. His name is Alex Zalagaris. I don't know if you guys know him, but super smart student, and he would basically allocate his time to more difficult concepts like this. Wouldn't wrap his head around it. He'd just knock it out quick and find a method for it. This is the method. Okay? Whichever number is farther away from this number right here, right? The 4, right? Or like if you did 1 pineapple, whatever the second number is going to benefit that country. Okay? Since 1 radio equals 4 pineapples is outside of the split, that I like to call it, it's only going to benefit one country. It's only going to benefit one country. So if you find if it benefits one or the other, so what I like to do is I like to employ this method with the other method, right? Because if I do the math and I figure out and I prove that it helps Kenya, then I know for sure without a doubt it doesn't help India. So I don't have to do the math for India. Is basically the idea. But the Zalagaris rule is this: whichever number it's farthest away from is going to benefit that country. So if the terms of trade is 1 radio for 4 pineapples, India is going to be better off. India is going to be better off here. They're going to be better off because 4 is farther away from 1. Is the idea, Mr. Moore? How? I don't know. It just works. It works every time, right? Just like if I said 1 pineapple equals 2 radios, right? It's outside the split. It's only going to help 1. 1 pineapple equals 2 radios. It's going to help India. It's going to help Kenya because 2 is farther away from 1/3 than it is from 1. 1 pineapple equals 2 radios is going to help Kenya, and it's not. India shouldn't do it. Is the idea. Okay, I hope you guys know how to do terms of trade, right? Hopefully one of the 3 methods, or you can use them together, or use 2, right? Use 2 methods together, and I hope you will be able to figure out terms of trade. And I don't want to say this, but I should. If you don't understand how to do terms of trade, it's fine, actually. It's really fine, right? Because if you do Comparative Advantage Frq, generally there's going to be 5 to 6 questions. You're going to get 5 of them right? And you know maybe you'll miss the other one, or maybe it's a 50-50 chance, right? Yes or no. It's not that big of a deal. I don't want you getting really frustrated and be like, I don't know how to do this, and watch like YouTube videos for like 4 hours straight, or watch this lecture over again and again. It's not that big of a deal. I forgot to mention, but on the AP test, if you get 80% of the questions right, you get a 5 on the AP test, full credit. Any university, they're going to accept it at 5, okay? 80% right. If you get half the questions right, you get 50% of the questions right, you get a 3 on the AP test. It's passing. Now, I don't think MSU accepts it, like they accept like a 4, but like a 3 is going to be good at like anywhere, like Grand Valley, Wayne State, things like that, right? If you get half the questions right. So again, if you know how to do input versus output, you know how to identify absolute advantage, you know how to calculate the per unit opportunity cost, you know how to identify who has comparative advantage, so who should produce what, you are going to get 95% of the comparative advantage questions correct, okay? Terms of trade is that next level, but I think you guys can do it. I don't think it's that crazy complicated, okay? That is it for terms of trade. Oh, I wanted to show you this last quick and dirty method, right? Because again, it's like really quick and it's like academically like dirty. It's like outrageous, but and I got to give credit to ACDC Econ, Mr. Clifford. I need to drop his resource in the Google Classroom because he's a great resource on YouTube. But he's the one who developed this method. This is not for calculating terms of trade. This is for calculating comparative advantage very, very quickly, okay? I want you to be able to do it the way I taught you because you're going to have to identify per unit opportunity cost. But if you come across a multiple choice question And time is going, right? How can I answer a comparative advantage question very, very quickly? Like how do I know India has comparative advantage in radios here? You employ this method. It's called the quick and dirty method, right? You cross multiply. If this is an output question, there's only two right answers, or there's only two answers that could be right, rather. Either Kenya has comparative advantage in pineapples and India has comparative advantage in radios, or India has comparative advantage in pineapples and comparative advantage in radios, right? So either Kenya's going to make this and India's going to make this, or Kenya's going to make this and India's going to make this, right? There's only two combinations. So if you cross multiply 30 times 40, 1,200, we're going to get 1,200 units. We're going to get 1,200 output, total stuff, right? If we cross multiply 40 times 10, we're going to get 400 stuff, okay? So what combination has more stuff? It's Kenya making pineapples and India making radios. So Kenya has comparative advantage in pineapples, India has comparative advantage in radios. Very, very quick and dirty method, right? Just cross multiply, what's the combination of the most stuff? If it's an input question, however, like it says minutes to produce one radio and one pineapple, right? So we want a lower number. That means that country's better at it. Again, cross multiply, but now the lower number would be the combination of comparative advantage, right? India should make pineapples and Kenya should make radios because it takes 400 minutes to produce this rather than 1,200 minutes to produce that, is the idea. So very easy method. It'll work 100% every single time, but I'm going to teach you it last because I want you guys to know how to do it the real way, because you need to know how to do it the real way. But sometimes this would be the most efficient way to answer a question for time's sake. Okay, that is it, people. So let's take our break. 11:51. We'll jump in the Google Meet for a little bit. Again, you guys all got to be in the Google Meet up until 12. I prefer you guys be in there a little bit longer. But as time kind of goes on, some of you guys can kind of trickle out. That way I can work with just a little handful of students, right? That way it's not like, just huge, like a lot of people, because some people don't want to ask a lot of questions, but there's like 28 students in the room. But we're going to work on 1.4 today, 2 FRQs. Let's see if you can handle it, right? This is going to be the hardest problem set you've seen, but it's also the quickest problem set you're probably going to have to tackle. So, as always, appreciate it. All right, I'll see you guys in Google Meet.